Welcome back to Love Life After. I am your host, Christelle, and today's episode is honest. Just honest. Not heavy, just honest. Because we talk a lot about growth. We celebrate it. We post about it. We even pray for it. But we don't always talk about what it costs. And growth often costs something.
Baby, you're my coat. She got me feeling like a dope fiend. I'm addicted to a black queen. Baby, you're my coat. She got me feeling like a dope fiend. I'm addicted to a black queen.
Welcome back to Love Life After. I hope you all enjoyed the last episode about discipline. That was actually one of my favorite because it received a lot of conversation, and I'm happy to be able to put content out that resonate with a lot of people. So that meant a lot. So this week, I want to talk about what growth cost us. I want to say this clearly. I'm so grateful for where I am in my life today, and I'm even proud of the person that I'm becoming. And I feel very disciplined. I feel centered, and I even feel aligned. But none of that really came without a price. And that's what I want to dive deep into today, because you see, like, if you're in a season of elevation, expansion, or emotional maturity, you probably felt it too. Because I know I've been feeling it a lot. Because growth doesn't just add to your life. Sometimes it subtracts. And that's okay. Growth calls people. And that's number one. And honestly, for me, it cost me proximity. Not necessarily like relationship ending, but more like access to changing. And what I'm saying is that when you grow, your conversation change. The conversation you have with people changes. Your tolerance also changes. Things like your boundaries, your availability, they all changes. But not everyone grows with you. And that's just reality. And you have to accept that. You have to accept that as you grow, you have to leave some people behind. Because some of them are not meant to go on that journey with you. And that is okay. But that part really is hard, because when that happens, you don't just stop loving those people, right? And you just can't stay the same for them either. Like, you can't be that same person for them either. So for me, I had to accept that maturity. Sometimes it may feel lonely, but not really isolated or abandoned at all. I just feel like elevated differently. And that's why, like, for me, growth, I feel like this part in my life is like the best version of myself. Like, even with like relationship that were built prior to who I'm becoming now. And that, to me, I feel like that's powerful. And that's really what growth is, when you realize that you are growing and you're not really taking it for granted, but you're just grateful. And that's the season that I'm in. And I just love that about myself. And I love the person that I'm becoming. And that's really why I really wanted to share this, because I feel like my elevation, like the way I'm moving, the way, I'm growing, the direction that I'm going into has really shifted. And I just love that. And the second thing is your comfort level. Growth also calls me comfort. But when I say comfort, I'm talking about comfort in being understood. And in being, I guess I would say, like, the easy version of myself. When you start making disciplined decision, or when you stop like really over explaining yourself to people, when you move with alignment instead of like just urgency, I think people notice. And I think that's when like the shift really happened. And sometimes not everyone celebrates that with you. And that's fine because you don't need the validation from people. You just need to focus on that part of yourself, that growth. Because I feel like when you choose, or while you're in your season of like choosing long term over like short term approval, it can feel very, very uncomfortable. But you have to be able to differentiate what that looks like for you moving forward so you can have clarity. The last thing I want to share today is our old identity. Growth costs a lot of us our old identity. And what that means is like the person that you used to be, like let's say like, for example, like someone who's a hustler or someone who's a fixer or even the overgiver. Those were all my identity. Those were part of my identity. And that's who I was. The one who carried like everything quietly, right? That version of me was built on something that the process I was supposed to go through needed. It needed that foundation for me to be where I am today. Now, the version of me right now that's building this foundation moving forward, but I cannot carry where I'm going. So I have to learn to let go. And that to me, I really like, it felt like in the process, like I'm talking about now, like in the process now of where I am on my growth journey and letting go of certain things, certain situations and certain people. It wasn't really me disrespecting them. It was really for me to grow, to really like be at peace. And for me, that was necessary. That's what I need in this season of my life to be able to get to where God is taking me in this journey. Like I said, we don't never know what it is that we are put on this earth for. But when you find that purpose and then when you really know where you're supposed to be in life, I feel like there's like a shift that we don't really understand. And a lot of the time, because we don't understand what is going on, we tend to like move like certain way that God doesn't really want us to do. You know, we're aligning with like things that we're not meant to be. And when you realize that those things don't matter anymore, that's when you really start your transformation. And sometimes that look like, you know, even grieving who you used to be, like the person you used to be. Not because that person you used to be was wrong or anything, but because that person was preparing you to be the new version of yourself. And that's what becoming is. And I told y'all, like, this whole season, like, well, this part of this season, I really, really wanted to focus that personal part of myself. So I really wanted to like make sure that I'm being very honest, and that's why none of this episode are being edited or anything like that, because I just want to speak from the heart. I want to be like 100% authentic. I'm always being authentic, but I just want people to know that those things, like in every season of our life, we have to go through certain things to be the person that we are right now. In whatever season or whatever journey that you're on, we have to be able to differentiate the things that we were or used to be or do. And then we have to like learn to like move on from those. Take the messages that we learn from every situation, every lesson, and turn that into something that will better us long term. Thinking about starting your own podcast? Let me tell you about Buzzsprout. They've helped over 400,000 podcasters launch their shows since 2009, and I've been using them since 2017. With Buzzsprout, your episode get listed on all major platforms like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and more, reaching millions of listeners. Plus, they have a fantastic community to support you every step of the way. Still unsure? Click the link in my description and head over to buzzsprout.com to learn more. That's buzzsprout.com. Again, buzzsprout.com. Happy podcasting. I think that's one of the reasons why I keep wanting to implement Black history in this few episode, because I feel like I need to go back onto like how our ancestor used to be. I know this whole month I said I was going to weave in a little Black history connection some type of way, because I just feel like that's just right. So going back to Black history, right? And I've been thinking about legacy a lot, like for my children and my family, like what kind of legacy I wanted to leave them. Because I feel like so many people before us paid those prices. They paid the prices that I feel like we as people in this generation, especially Black people, I feel like we will never really fully understand what they had to go through, right? So I just have a few questions for you as you like go on through your day, like the year, whatever. Like I want you to think really deep about this, okay? Because we sometimes as society don't really think about those things that they had to go through. And I just kind of like want to see where your head at. And if you feel up to it, please leave me a comment, send an email. I love the emails, by the way. But what if growth now means breaking cycles gently, right? What if that's what they mean? What if we're supposed to break those cycles that, they have to endure, right? And then the other question is, what if strength now looks like softness? And what if leadership now looks like discipline, peace, and sustainability? Just think about those questions as you go on throughout your day. Think about those things that we sometimes like don't really know why those things are happening to us. But then we think about the long term. We think about our family. We think about what all those what ifs. But we don't really know the reasons. We never know those reasons until something happened later on. And that's when we ended up putting two and two together. And we don't have to, I feel like a lot of us, we carry so much, but we don't have to carry what our ancestors carried just to honor them. I feel like we need to do better in a way that I just want people to understand that, because one of the reasons I really am very passionate about talking about this too, and I don't know if I mentioned this before, but if I did, I'm sorry that I did, but maybe it's just coming back to mind because I'm supposed to say it again. I keep hearing about people saying that their, ancestor, aunt, uncle, grandma, whatever, they went through hardship, so they have to do better, right? So how about we show them that? How about we, go on a different direction than they did, right? If we feel like they had to go through those things to be where they are, what shift are we going to make to change that? Because you have to do what is best for you in the season that you are in right now. And we can grow, like we really can grow without repeating their exhaustion, like what they went through. And that realization alone like shifted so much in me. And I learned a lot from that. I learned a lot from hearing people saying those type of conversation and taking away from it. I don't want to have to go through the same thing. I want to leave a better legacy for my family. Not saying that what they did, what happened back in the day wasn't like a legacy. Yes, absolutely, it's a legacy that we left. But what can we do now to change that? And I feel like that's what growth require of us. To letting go of the past, of the things that our people went through, or family, or, grandma, grandparents, like what they went through. Letting those go and moving on from it. Because we absolutely cannot expand while clinging to what kept us small back then. And I feel like that's why I'm very passionate about talking about those things. Because sometimes, it could cost us comfort, of course, the old habits or approval, proximity, even predictability. But what you gain really when you focus on those things is alignment. What is God really aligning you to do in this season? If you figure that out, and I think that you are on the right track. In that season, where, sometimes we go through certain things and we're like, I don't really know why this is going, but I'm going to learn and move on from this. And that's what come into the second lesson I learned. Because sometimes those things could feel lonely. Like what I just repeated, it may feel lonely, but elevation can feel very, very lonely, but it's not lost. We have to remember that it's not lost, because there's a difference between loneliness and transition. And when you're in that transition, your circle shifts, your rhythm changes, like the way you move changes, your conversation evolves, and that's not punishment. I just think, for me, I think that's God positioning us in a better position, in a different way. Like he's aligning us with himself, and he's showing us our purpose, our passion. And I feel like we have to claim that. We need to claim that. We need to let go. We need to grow. And I think that's where we need to be in life, to really fully understand that what happened to us does not define us. And we have to learn to let go. And we don't have to repeat. We don't have to repeat. And I'll say it again and I'll say it again. We don't have to repeat the things that our grandparents or our parents went through to be where we feel like we need to be. We can change those things. And there's this affirmation that I've been saying lately. I think I'll leave it. One thing that I kept saying to myself is, I release what no longer fits the woman I'm becoming. And I trust the process. And whatever's leaving me is making room for what's supposed to align with me. And I keep that near me, and I continue to say that because, one, I'm not the person I was a year ago. I'm a whole different person. My mindset is totally different than the person I was a year ago. And I love that about myself. And I'm trusting the pruning process because I don't know what God has in store for me. I'm trusting whatever, he has. There were things that I think this was last week. I was talking to one of my small group leader, actually. Yeah, my small group leader. And we were having a conversation. I keep telling her about what's going on with my business, right? And God has been closing doors that I feel like were supposed to be in alignment with what I've been praying about. But because I wasn't really paying attention at the time those things were happening, I keep seeing the same thing like over and over again. Like, y'all know, like sometimes there's like signs, right? Signs that just like show up out of nowhere. Like, what, for example, one thing that I always notice, that my children think like I'm crazy for even noticing that, but sometimes like I will go, I'm a person who fasts a lot, right? And I do it just like a state in prayer, just like align with God's purpose for me. But sometimes like I will have, like, for example, let's say I'm having a headache, right? And I'll be driving and I'll see somebody's car and it'll say eat. And I was like, oh my God, guys, like that's God telling me I need to eat. That's why I'm having this headache. So like I pay attention to like little things like that. So that's why I know y'all might think I'm crazy, but I feel like when these doors that keep closing for me, like for example, a few weeks ago, I was literally on the path of signing my lease, right? And this happened twice, yo. I don't know if I already shared this, but the first time. But this happened. This is the second time it's happening. Literally on the verge of signing a lease, and something had like it just happened randomly, and it didn't happen. Like it's a long story. I'll go into detail maybe one day, and it didn't happen. But it wasn't like there were like no sign at all. Like everything was perfect as I thought, or so I thought was perfect. Everything was in the right direction. All the paperwork were like good. Everything was set. But the day before I was supposed to sign the lease, it changes. Like something changed, and they decided that they didn't want to go with a salon being in the space, which is crazy because in the beginning when I reached out, they said everything was fine. And now I'm in the transition. I was like, okay. So when I was talking to my small group leader, I was like, is this God telling me that I need to move direction? Do I need to like just leave that area alone and move into like the Charlotte area? Or what should I do? Right? So that was the first, me just like trying to play it in my head. Like, is God telling me not to, go through that door because that door closed? The previous one too, it closes. And then the next thing I know, I keep hearing people keep messaging me in this area. Hey, do you have, I heard you moved to this area. Are you available? Or do you do this? Or do you do that? And I'm like, okay, what if this is God telling me that I'm supposed to close that door back there and move forward here? I know in this season, I think it was, I spoke a little bit about move and how that changes things. So I'm thinking to myself, does this have something to do with that same thing? Like, does this have something to do with me just like leaving well all that stuff alone and move forward and move my salon in this area? Or am I supposed to continue there? But my thing is, I have people that are working there. Why should I just close and then they'll go without jobs? So I don't know, y'all. Like, I don't know if I'm crazy. Like, let me know if y'all think what I'm thinking, if it's actually like an alignment, or if God's trying to tell me to either leave, or if that's just not the right space for me. And that's something that I'm very much like passionate about, like learning those things and figuring out if this is the right path for me. I've had some help though. I have a lot of help that people behind me, from like finishing the program I finished, that they're very encouraging, and they're just like, okay, this is not the end. You just have to move on and you have to continue. So, and I've been doing that. Like, I'm trying to be obedient. I'm trying to be very obedient and disciplined. So that way, when the time comes and the right door opens, I'm ready for that transition. And that to me is growth, because before I would have been like freaking out, which I'm not saying I wasn't freaking out. I wasn't like, oh my God, why did this happen? But I saw it as God saying, this door is not for you. So we're going to move into a different direction. And that maturity of thinking, like that part of me really like solidified that I'm in the right season of my life. I'm doing everything that I'm supposed to do. And I don't need anybody's validation. I don't need anybody to validate that those part of my life. And I'm so grateful, y'all. I'm so grateful that I have the support that I have behind me, because talking through people or talking through this with people is making me realize that I don't have to talk to people about everything. I need to talk to God at all times. And that's really why I feel like my season of growth had shift. Like, I know we talk a little bit more about this, even in some of the previous season when I talked about how growth, like, you know, people are, oh, I see growth in you. But now I see it in myself. Like, I see it in myself. I see the transition. I see the toughness. I see the hard work. I see the discipline. And I love that for me. I love it for me so much, because even though like growth caused me comfort, it caused me access, it caused me old version of myself, right? But it gave me peace. It's giving me clarity every day. And it's giving me alignment with people and things that I didn't used to think that I needed to align with before. And that, I feel like it's a win for me, because I'm very disciplined now. I have purpose. And I feel like if I didn't go through all the things that I went through to get here, I wouldn't be so happy about the person I'm becoming now. And if I have to go through all of it again, I definitely will do it again. I definitely will not change anything. I will definitely choose the same thing. And same thing goes for regret. I don't regret anything that's happened in my life, because it shaped the person that I am today. And I love that for me, and I love that about me, and I love that I don't have to go back and judge the person that I used to be, because I'm happy about the person I'm becoming. And that's okay with me, and that's enough. So if you're in a season where things feel like shifting, I want you to just note that you're not losing anything. You're just becoming. You're becoming the person God is designing you to be. At least I hope so for you, if you're a spiritual person, if you're a believer. I really, really hope that for you. And becoming sometimes costs. It definitely sometimes costs before it compensates. And that's what love life is all about. Loving life and enjoying the after. And I've been loving my life. Like, I've been, doing the stuff that I feel like I'm supposed to be doing in life. And I feel like if we're all on a journey of making sure that we have the right alignment, like aligning ourselves with like the right people, choosing the right people, connecting with the right people, being intentional about the connection that we're making, I feel like you are going to be on the right path. And that's really what it means to love in life after whatever you've been going through. And I know we all got this. You got this. And I hope and pray that everyone have an amazing Black History Month. I think we have one more week. Yeah, one more week. And if you have any question, comments, or any concern at all, please email us at lovelifeafter18@gmail.com or in Instagram at love.lifeafter. And I hope to have you back on here next week. Today's been rough. I just want to share a little bit of that. It's been rough, but I pushed through. And to me, that's discipline and that's growth. And I'm definitely going to share with you why it has been rough. Because I literally, and you probably would not know, like, I boohoo cried through this whole episode. Like, I was boohoo crying before I even got to the end of this episode. So if y'all have any question, again, any question, comment, or concern, I would love to answer all those for you. And I hope you all have an amazing, beautiful day. And I'll see you on the next episode. Peace.